Make sure it's.
It is 6.
We have a second.
Her crown fell off, that's why she's so late.
Oh,
You ready?
okay.
Okay. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:30. And there are no citizen comments, but we have Perla here. The first agenda item, consider approval of minutes for the January 23rd, 2025 meeting and take appropriate action.
So do we have a quorum? Or do we need to adjust?
Ben, no,
She's a regular voting member.
with that, no, we have a quorum.
Okay, yeah, fine. Okay,
So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
okay, I'll second.
Next agenda item, receive an update on venue 1842 and take appropriate action.
Phyllis Fair, Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Planning. So the update, I think this was more of, a punch list was requested, so I was a little curious about what a punch list meant.
Yeah.
So because usually when there's substantial completion, the punch list is done. So now that I have official CO, there's no punch list. So I was a little confused on what the punch list was. And I believe a couple months ago, I presented to council in regards to the venue and they're wanting me to make it revenue neutral. So I'm going back and assessing some of the revenues and the expenses based on it and to see if they want to reduce city events and have more actual paid sponsorships since there is a general fund debt payment due to it. So, paid out of the tourism fund. So, I will, in the coming month, I have another presentation to go to them to show them as how to make it revenue neutral. So that's all I have as far as an update. No direction. I'm still doing financial analysis.
I had heard something about a parking lot going in, did that, what is?
Yeah, that's
There's a
also
lot of
another
big things
presentation I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also another presentation I did, trying to increase it, because if they do want to make it revenue producing or revenue neutral, it holds 200 people, but we only have spaces for about 60. So if I can at least get 40 extra spaces, so we did 3 different ways for the analysis. One was to increase this a little bit and then do parking along the brick road, but nobody wanted trees to go away. Because once you add parking where it's flood zone, then you have to have each person that wants to rent this place out sign a liability form, since it's floodplain. And if you do the Ford Road, to increase that, then you have to move the trees, move the fire hydrant, reduce the fire lane. So this would have been the easiest way. So another presentation I have to take again back to council is to pretty much do an assessment based on how old the trees are they dead, are they alive, to minimize it. So working on that with some of the engineers as well. So if I can at least get 100 spots, I think would be in a good spot. We don't have LA. If everybody knows, P&Z and council approved what we used to use for parking, for warehousing. So that's gonna be starting sometime soon, so that parking is gonna go away. And then, council's other question was in front of what's gonna go into warehousing, who owns that? The city owns that, that is also floodplain. Everything here pretty much is floodplain except where we're at and the venue. So the venue right before the venue, it's not floodplain, but everything else where all the grass is, that's all floodplain. So it's more analysis. I think they just love me doing analysis.
Yeah.
So I am gonna go back and do more analysis, but yeah, that was also included, because if you do want to make it revenue neutral, we've had some individuals say parking is an issue.
Okay, in saving the trees.
And saving the trees.
Trying to save.
Trying to save the trees,
Yeah.
or if I get rid of the trees, can we replant them somewhere else? So
Yeah.
that comes at an added cost too. Or do we just want new trees? So there's a lot more to it than,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Any other questions?
So you did a presentation to city council?
I did, yeah, the study session for both the parking and 1842 revenue neutral.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on, receive a status update on the historical parks master plan.
Yeah, so this, I think this is gonna correlate with the next one as well. So the historical master plan, that needs to be a budget. I know we already have it budgeted, but the fact that council's direction is to make historical park and the venue revenue neutral, we're reassessing everything as far as what they want me to be able to include as expenses. There's a state legislature law that you can only use tourism funds for historical park up to a certain percentage. And we're getting very close to it, so I'm having to do some more analysis. Apparently that's why they brought me on. Yeah, so to be determined.
Okay, so the master plan's on hold
That's
based on
All
the
the
analysis,
that they
based
want.
on
The
where we
venue
are.
based on the hotel motel octa tax that are coming in.
Okay. But is there part of the solution that if we get higher, then everything's good? Or,
If we get over the 49%, there's a point in time where we could lose all of our funding for hotel motel. So that's why we have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
fine.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Receive a status update, timeline of the log culture area rebuild and take appropriate action.
Yeah, so that again goes with everything. So the log culture area rebuild would probably come in as, when we do the budget, that would include the master plan to include the log area rebuild to include, are we doing 1 cabin, 2 cabin, 3 cabins, and where? So I've already pulled all the deeds for everywhere as far as deed restrictions, and then again, floodplains, what are we doing? Are we doing 1 cabin, or are we doing all 3? Because I believe there's 1 real cabin and then 2, what are the other 2? There's
There's one reconstructed that Peter's calling the oldest one, and then the other 2 are original, not original, but they are original structures. The log house and the blacksmith shop.
Correct, they're original structures, but they're not actual log cabins. What do we call them? They're
No, they are actual
they're
log
all 3
cabins.
log cabins.
The third one, which is an old structure as well, it's a recreation.
Recreation,
Yes,
there we
of
go.
the-
So
It's
it's,
called.
yeah, it's in council's direction if they want to do all 3 or just do the antique ones that would go into the historical park preservation that would still fall with it. So again, it becomes the direction during budget and we're starting that. So if anybody wants strategic meeting, did anybody see the strategic? And so we had that last week with council and anybody can go back and watch it. It looks like they were very heavily on economic development and public safety and public works. So I'm gonna include as much as I can in budget, but again, let's see what happens. It's still within keeping under a certain percentage for hotel motel taxes.
All right. Receive historical park quarterly report.
You should have in your packets, this is for the first quarter of fiscal year 24-25. We're doing well. So our year to date, the first one is our overall revenue for the park. Our year to date revenue totals for the first quarter of this fiscal year. And this runs from October through December 2024 is what these numbers reflect. Our overall revenue has increased by 28% compared to the first quarter of last year. The fiscal year, last year's 23-24 year to date for the first quarter revenue was right at $82,000, while this year it came at almost $105,000, 104,446, an increase of a little over $22,000. There are a few changes to our programming for the fall to accommodate, our expanded community event, Day of the Dead. This was the second year that the event was switched from a ticketed per person to a free community celebration. We had over 500 attendees, and many of y'all were there. You knew all of we had the mariachi bands, folklorico, the face painting, the crafts, and then of course the huge community altar. Also, our rentals have increased by 93% from previous year's first quarter. And the majority of I'll go into more detail on that. The majority of our other programs sold out. Some of the highlights were the fall mini photo sessions. Our school tours, our sold out Christmas teas, which I think this is the most we've made on Christmas teas. We had the highest attendee numbers, bringing in 7,200, and then Girl Scout workshops. For rental revenue for the first quarter, brought in $9,442 compared to the first quarter of last year was around $4,800. So an increase of 93%. For this quarter, about $4,500. We had 10 rentals, which consisted of 5 weddings, 2 baby showers, a photo shoot, 2 corporate events, and then we also had 28 hotel rooms, which helped generate funds for the hotel occupancy tax. And our other revenues, so that's everything besides rentals. So our programming, admissions, things of that nature. Our first quarter, saw a total for this fiscal year of little over $95,000 in other revenue compared to a little over 77,000 for the first quarter of last year. So an increase of 23% or $18,000. The revenue increase, as I mentioned, is due to the success of the various programs from our fall mini school tours. We did have a lot of school tours this fall, so that was really exciting. Christmas teas and the Girl Scouts. Our expenses, we did have a increase of 16% for this first quarter, or about $30,000. For this first quarter, a little over 218,000 in expenses compared to a little over 188,000 in expenses first quarter of last year. We did have some added expenses with the Day of the Dead celebration, but those were very minor considering the rising cost of, consumer goods and everything. While completed, we did also complete the repair projects on the church, and we had to purchase a new commercial dishwasher here for the Dotson house that one. So that was a large expense, as well as other building expenses and ground maintenance, which I have them listed out there, program supplies, and other general expenses related to personnel, salary and benefits, and catering for the events and printing and all of the other daily needs. So in summary, the overall revenue for the first quarter of this fiscal year came in with a substantial 28% increase. That was, for overall, and then 23% on something. And then rental revenue increased by 93% for this first quarter. We brought in almost 4,000 for hotel rooms. Our visitation, engagement, and activation continue to rise, and we're seeing more Farmers Branch residents attending our programming. One example is the Christmas teas. We had 224 attendees for the 4 seatings that went over 2 weekends. 173 of those were residents and 51 were from the surrounding communities. So that was nice to see so many Farmers Branch residents coming into that. And as I already mentioned, our expenditures were up about 16% with some repairs needed for the church and that new dishwasher. All other expenses were just standard operating costs. Does anyone have any questions?
Are we at 25,156?
Yes.
Yes.
So I don't know if I can speak very well with the half
So numb.
numb lip here. Receive an update on historical park current projects, events, and upcoming activities.
In your packet, we've got our calendar of events. As you know, this weekend is Mad Hatter. He's been spending this week getting everything set for it, and the venue looks absolutely amazing. All the decorating, and I think it's going to be really nice and be able to accommodate people, but also have it spread out, and supposed to have really great weather on Saturday. So everyone's very excited about that. Other things coming up, of course, we just had the Boards and Commissions banquet on Saturday, and congratulations to Missy for Volunteer of the Year.
Well, all of you guys, I mean, been done it without all y'all really.
And Jenny receiving her 5-year coin. So that was really nice.
Right.
Other things we have coming up is the birthday box donations. Those will be taking place, and we've already been getting in a lot of donations for that. So we'll be assembling everything and then taking that over to MetroCrest Services.
Are there any specifics actually needed?
I'll check. We did get a huge donation of like candles and things like that. I need to check on how many more, how we're doing on cake mixes and frosting and.
Because the Mahjong group that came here, they all said that they would tell us what to bring and we'd.
Okay, perfect. I will find out and let you know what exactly.
Did I miss it? I thought it was in March.
We're coming up on March.
March is Saturday.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Mm.
I'm asking, have they already collected?
No, we're
Okay.
okay now. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're.
I could have sworn it was coming up in March.
Yeah, the donation drop-offs are, Monday through Friday, March tenth through the
Okay, that's
14th.
what I thought. Okay.
15th and 16th, and then that following week, the 17th through 21st. So, but we've gotten in a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking, the more donations, the better that we can take over to
Yeah.
Enterprise.
And on the birthday cards, are they children's birthday cards?
It's for anyone in the family that's celebrating. So,
Okay.
we're kind of doing it age neutral.
Oh, okay, but do we sign the birthday cards?
Mhm, we have.
Okay. So, okay, do I bring blank birthday cards? And
If
then,
you'd like to do blank ones, because we've decorated them and then signed them like from the historical park or from the board and things like that.
okay, good.
You want to just do blank cards, then
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay,
And they'll get added to each box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause isn't there a blank one and a signed one in most boxes?
There's just one card, they're signed, yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be for that whole family, but whoever's celebrating that month. We also have our, we're doing a spring break camp this year, something a little bit different. It's a stitch and style sewing camp with Paloma. So tickets are available for that now. We have several kids already registered for it, so that ought to be a lot of fun. That's March 17th through the 21st. And then Gateway to the Globe will be out here on Saturday, March 29th from 3 to 10. That will be a very fun and exciting event. I do have an update. There was a question about, Teresa, you had asked about the Friends having a booth and doing the palettas or something of that nature. We did hear back that they will be giving out palettas, so that is covered. The Friends group will have a booth and I do have a sign up sheet if people want to sign up to man that. And if you do want to